guys, it's Jen here with another process video for you today on National Scrapbook Day. I was just inspired by all of the great stuff online, and I'm not really following any specific crop, honestly, just because I know I didn't have a whole ton of time this weekend and there's so many great ones it would be hard to pick one. I did end up using a sketch for this layout off of the Creative Scrappers blog. I'm super happy that she's going to be posting sketches again, and I went back and forth between a couple different ideas for this layout and also different papers, and you'll see where I end up in a minute. I really loved that paper there with sort of the watercolor kind of like peach colored poppies on it, but that photo that I'm using is really crisp, and I just felt like sort of the muted watercolor and then that photo, they just didn't really work together, and the color's not so great. So then I see this butterfly paper, which isn't something I would typically use too much, but I just thought that was a good starting point. So what I'm going to end up using is I'm going to frame out my flower with some wood paper, and I'm actually going to use the back of that butterfly paper because I'm already cutting into it rather than cutting into that pretty one with the pink fade, and so just using that to back it, and then I'm going to go with this diagonal black and white stripe, which is a bit more graphic, I guess, and that's going to be like my largest layer, and then I'm going to cut a piece of this butterfly in a longer strip to layer over top of it. And I'm loosely basing this on one of the sketches that Christine posted, as I mentioned, and I just realized I need another paper there, like a third large layer. So I decided to go with this it's sort of mustardy yellow, and again, not colors I typically pick, but I thought the yellow would be good. It would kind of pop that photo a bit, because while the flower's more orangey, there's a bit of yellow in it, and so I really feel like that yellow in the background really helps pop out that photo, and I really wanted the focus to be on the photo rather than on the rest of it. So I'm using die cuts and chipboard pieces from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection. I'm just mixing up different kits here that I have because I hadn't used any of them, and so I'm just pulling out bits and pieces from all over the place. And I'd pulled out that chipboard banner, and that's not going to make it. It's just too much yellow, so it's going to go away. But what I do end up doing is cutting out a couple of the butterflies from that background paper. There was one chipboard one and then one die cut one with the Maggie Holmes stuff, and they're just black and white. But I wanted more than just the two of those, and so I end up cutting a couple out. And I really struggled getting that beautiful off of that sticker sheet, so I'm just leaning over the edge of my chair there, trying to pull at it from all different directions so to get it off without it ripping. So the direction that I end up going here, once I'd gotten my papers down, I really didn't look at the sketch again, and when I go back I realized that I kind of completely went off sketch at this point, but that's okay. I wanted that yellow paper, but I also wanted to cover up most of it on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up layering up a bunch of words and phrases on the bottom to cover that yellow, but you can still see some of it. Yeah, so that beautiful, as I said, is from the sticker sheet. That happy day is from the die cuts. The love is from the sticker sheet. I just wanted to pull a little bit of blue down there because I thought I was going to use that blue tag, and then I don't. But there's a little bit of blue in that butterfly paper. And then of course there's blue in the background of my photo as well. But I didn't know where I was going here. So what I end up doing is just putting together what I know I'm going to do. And that's usually what I do when I get stuck on a layout, is if there's something that I know I'm going with, I'll go and actually commit to that part, and then I'll go back to the embellishments and play some more. So here I'm just offsetting all the layers so that you can see them really well, and I'm going to cut off some of that striped paper. I'm going to end up, it's totally crooked. I'm going to fix it in a little bit, and then I'm going to go back to these again, these parts again, because I know I'm going to keep those, and then commit to them. So this beautiful and the happy day, I'm going to fiddle with them just a little bit, and I have this on pretty fast forward, but I just wanted the ascenders, or the descenders, sorry, the F and the L from beautiful to fit and go kind of overlap a little bit on that happy day, but you still be able to read it. And because I had such a struggle getting it off of that sticker sheet, I end up using my Scotch Quick Dry on a couple of the letters. Wish I had waited because I end up having to rip part of this apart again, just because the crookedness, slight crookedness really, was really bugging me. But it was just making it hard for me to line things up. So I pop up this love on the corner here with a few foam squares. And and I'm just cutting a couple in half to put underneath a couple more of the letters, just so that they stay up under that part of the L there. It was kind of droopy. And then that butterfly that I cut out of the paper, I'm happy with that going right there. So one side gets foam squares and one side gets stuck down. I think that looks really pretty. And I kind of angling it so it's under a piece and over a piece and touching a piece, just like that. It kind of, I feel like it pulls your embellishments together when you do that. And I know for sure, here's where I rip this off, and that's where it rips my B. I'm going to trim that, and it was crooked, and then I'm going to, sorry, my head's going to be in the way. I'm going to use the grid on my mat here. My head is really in the way, so I can deal with it, to line it up so it's all straight. I promise my head gets out of the way in a minute here. It's making my iPhone freak out. And I'm just going to run away and get a new piece of white cardstock, because that one was all wrinkled in the corner, and it didn't seem to matter how I put this down. You could see it really well. So all nice and straight now. Stuck the B back on that I'd ripped, and here's where I'm going to struggle a bit more with my embellishments. And sorry, I'm standing up because I'm frustrated. I don't know what I wanted to do here, so I actually turn the camera off, walk away for a bit, and come back. So what I'm deciding, what I do here is when I'd walked away, I had a look at some of the stuff that was available, and I decided to just add more phrases and words on the bottom there. So you could see there where I pulled out the black, find what makes you happy, and that little pink one is together, and then there's a real life sticker on the top there. And for some reason that butterfly was bugging me, and I look back at it now and I actually quite liked it, but I decided to fussy cut out another one with a little bit of blue on it. And I'm not a big fussy cutter, but because usually I'm too impatient, but because I was a bit stuck, and see, I think that looks great like that. I wish I had left it, but because I'm not usually patient enough, I don't fussy cut. But yeah, what I decided to do is tuck a couple of these flowers in. So that little butterfly ends up under a layer and over the photo, and that sticker over top of it, and it's fine. And then I'm also going to put down finally that big chipboard one, and I'm going to put this yellow one underneath a couple of the layers and on top of the bottom layers. And that's just a little chipboard heart that matches the little heart I put on the top. So the last thing that I'm going to do almost the last thing I'm going to do is I just felt like it needed something on the left hand side, and I almost thought about cutting this down to make it an 8.5 by 11, but because I don't typically do 8.5 by 11, that probably was going to mean that this was going to be hanging out all by itself, and then I would have to specifically make another 8.5 by 11, to fit into the page protector. So instead, this is what I do. It's taking me a long time to deal with this, because this is very strange paper tape rather than the washi tape. So what I have to end up doing is I just make a little pencil mark and take that wood grain paper off, and then put this washi down. And I couldn't even do the whole strip. I had to do it in 2 pieces, just because it's a really weird tape, and it doesn't stick nicely. So yeah, so that's why it was taking me so long to put that down. And here I'm just going to trim a teeny tiny bit because for some reason that wood grain paper didn't go all the way to the top. So I had a little tiny bit there that it wasn't working. So because I have so much going on the right side, I just decided to do a small cluster on this side. This is going to end up getting moved up, but I wanted to bring some yellow over to that left side, and there's that butterfly again. And I found this love chipboard piece, so I'm going to just layer these three things up together, and I like how that ends up looking. It's not quite all squished up like it is at the moment. Just looking for some foam squares, and one goes up there and one goes underneath on the top, and as you'll see in 1 second, it ends up a little tiny bit, but I like how that looks, and I apologize my head is in the way for this one. A little bit of black Heidi Swapp color shine, and this is done. So here are the close-ups for you guys. I really hope I get this video up today on National Scrapbook Day. I am having a little bit of technological issues with my product, so hopefully this is up really soon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you get some scrapping done this weekend.